Hey everyone, I'd like to introduce my next guest, Warren Fiihr. He's the firm owner of Action Coach Sugarland. Um, Warren, I'm excited to talk to you today. It's not very often that I get to talk to someone that kind of has a similar background as me. Yours is a bit more executive. Maybe we could start there in your journey, because you were working as a VP at NBC for a number of years, and you spent your career in marketing and advertising. know, Can you talk to us about, what that part of your life looked like and kind of how that led into, the creation of your business?
Sure. Thanks, Montgomery. So well, we have some similar backgrounds, but I have a lot more wrinkles. So either I'm a lot older or am I a lot more stressed. So it was like the presidency there for a while, I suppose. You know how those guys get really gray and old after 4 years? That's what it was
Yeah, I mean, look
like.
at Obama.
So I started off in radio, then television advertising sales, and in lovely Sioux Falls, South Dakota. You know, and then I got promoted to run a team in Virginia at a television station. Ran a bigger team in Alabama, and then I got to go back at 39 years old and be the president, general manager of the NBC affiliate in Roanoke, Virginia, for 5 years, and that was I have lots of tales to tell from that. But I was taking over a station with a horrible culture, a toxic culture, a whole bunch of public stuff that happened, including some weathermen that were addicted to heroin and some naked stuff. Yeah, lots of stuff there to talk about. But yeah, that
God,
was
yeah,
my first
a lot
GM
to
gig. It
uncover
was
here.
great.
I mean, yeah, that sounds like probably like it was a big change from, a small town in South Dakota.
Yeah, for sure. And it's funny how everybody has imposter syndrome. So like I was at this TV station before as a sales manager, and then coming back as a general manager and walking up the stairs to the big office and sitting in the chair for the first time. You're like, what the heck's going on? I'm not really supposed to be here. I totally don't have what it takes to be in this chair. But yeah, you do, right? You just got to start. But there's
Mhm.
that sort of that realization, like, holy crap! Now I got the gig I wanted. Now what do I do?
Yeah. You made it to the top of the mountain, and you're like, now what?
Yeah, yeah. Now I actually have
Can't
to run
believe we
this
did it.
thing.
Yeah. Okay, so I mean, you were actually in charge of managing multiple different sections of the station. This was
Yes.
a kind of all-encompassing role. Like, what did you find about, switching to this position and like having to take on, kind of multiple different tasks at once? So did that teach you much in terms of like your coaching style now?
Yeah, great. That's a great question. So, well, first of all, you're running a big team with multiple departments, over 100 people, and I'm 39 years old. And coming from a sales background, always with sales and news, there's always some sort of attention. And there has to be attention because sales is the revenue generation engine, news is the content generation engine, and news people are going to do news stories on people with money that are sometimes advertisers, and that creates conflict because obviously if you're going to do, and we had this happen several times, where news wanted to run a story and it was on one of our biggest clients and it was not a positive story. So I had, for instance, we had a hospital, and their PR person called me, and they're like, you can't run the story. It's like, well, is it true?
Yeah.
Because we'll let you comment on it, but if it's true, we're going to run it because there's a lot of focus on journalistic integrity. Back then, it's kind of sad to see the state of news. Not all news now, but news in general has become such a polarized propaganda machine on both sides. And back then, we were like, okay, if we have people from the left and people from the right calling and complaining about it, then we got it about right. And then really working, it wasn't so much about speed to get a story on the air as it was about making sure that we had several sources and we did the story the right way. So that was one, I guess, figuring out the conflict. And then you also had the news people are like, oh, those salespeople, man, they get to go, go take clients out to dinner, and they're just leaving early and they're golfing and blah, blah, blah. And then I'd be like, then my response would be, hey, look, we actually have an opening in sales. So if you want to come over and apply and you want to work on straight commission and, you're welcome to apply. We'd love to have you take a look at it. And then they're very like, oh, no, I'm good. I'm good. I don't want to do that. It's like, okay, then quit
Yeah.
bitching about it. Right.
Yeah.
So there's a kind of, and then getting the departments to work together was really important. So you got to have a common shared vision. We're taking something that was completely, a station that was really completely ravaged from bad culture and bad management and bad PR and all this stuff, and trying to rally the troops together to get them to kind of forge ahead for the common good and work and shore each other up and help each other, especially through some major breaking events, including the Virginia Tech tragedy, which was one of the first mass shootings. And yeah, so there's a lot of chance to be a leader there, and there wasn't a choice. Somebody had to lead, and I had the title, and it was necessary.
Right on. Yeah. So, I mean, you weren't just in charge of kind of running the news stories though as well. You were in charge of like marketing,
Yes,
the engineering,
yes.
the accounting,
The
like
whole thing,
right?
finances, engineering, who you hired for the meteorologist, your strategy
Yeah.
for sales, all those things, that everything about. It's kind of fun because you are buying syndicated programming. So when Friends came out and we could buy Friends, it's like, okay, what are you going to pay for this program? How long can you run it? How well can you monetize it? And then do you buy it? So you had to make all those
Yeah.
decisions, change a lot of programming around, added more news, because adding more hours of news is the cheapest way to add programming. That's your
Yeah.
cheapest kind of sourced. And you get all the commercials in there versus buying a program, you get half the commercials. So there's a lot of moving parts, even things like, negotiating contracts with a cell phone company to hang a cell phone thing on our tower, what's a thing? I don't know, antenna, I guess. The
Yeah.
transition from analog to digital, dealing with
Mhm.
different buying transmitters, like the whole thing was a lot of moving parts, which also is a lot of fun. And I guess the way I translate that today is like, that's one of the things I love about business coaching, because literally I have I don't know, 20 different kinds of businesses, and they have a lot of things that are similar, but then there's also these different things and how they make money and how they deal with their people and all those
Yeah.
things.
Yeah, because I feel like some people might forget from time to time that at the end of the day, a news station is a business. It's not all like publicly funded. And I mean, you mentioned this when we talked before that like, at some point, like you were dealing with like revenues exceeding $100 million, right? Like
Yeah, that was
you're over
actually,
multiple.
yeah, we were only making about 4 million in profit at the television station. My last gig here running Comcast advertising sales for Houston and Gulf Coast, it was $100 million thing.
Okay, sorry, I got
No, it's
my
no
wires
worries.
crossed here.
The dollars, you're adding a couple zeros, but the process is really the same process. Well, here's another one from Virginia that I remember that was really pretty interesting. So we would go to I was a VP, vice president of the Virginia Association of Broadcasters, and we would go lobby every year on the Hill, Capitol Hill. So senators and congressmen, and sometimes you get lower level people, but um, you really want to get their attention. Tell them they're going to get their phones are going to light up from their constituents.
Yeah,
That's how you get their attention. Then they get really interested in what you have to say, and they're like, oh well, we don't want to piss off our voters, right? So
yeah,
do you
yeah,
have a solution for that?
yeah.
But that was another great experience. Like, most people don't get a chance to do that and to kind of see the inner workings, and then even just see like some of these offices are really crappy that these people are in. It's not all glory and glamour
Yeah, yeah.
down below, down in the basements of these buildings. So, but a lot of work gets done down there too.
I think you're the first person that I mean that at least I know has done this, that has been a lobbyist and been in there, actually kind of swaying the direction of the country subtly.
Right?
I mean, how did you end up in that situation, and like what were you talking to them about? What was the kind of priority because I mean it sounded to me like you were coming in with a lot of integrity in terms of your journalism. So
Yes.
I don't think that you were trying to squeeze money out of them or
No,
something like some people are, you know?
no. I think, as I recall, like one of the two, we had a couple things as I remember it because it was a while ago. But one of the things was the transition. So basically, the what they did was they wanted to have more bandwidth. FCC, there's a band of communication, but where you could, I'm trying to think of the word here. Basically communication. So we took the bandwidth and smooshed it together and moved all the TV stations up to a higher bandwidth to allow more cellular communications and other stuff in the lower bands. And so this is controlled by the FCC, but it requires millions and millions of dollars in buying new transmitters. You can't use the thing that's transmitting now, to do the new thing. And that also meant that people had to figure out how to get the new signal, and some people just had antennas, believe it or not. So we had to make sure there was an education effort in place so that these are older people, right? They're probably like my age now, back then. So these are older people, and they don't know, they're not technology savvy. So then we've got to figure out, how do we get a marketing message out there? How do we hand out free antennas so they can continue to receive their free TV signal through this transition, and not get confusion, and not call the congressman saying, "What the heck did you do to my TV? It doesn't work anymore." You know.
Yeah.
So that was one. And then, just as another aside, because I think this is really funny, when we transitioned from analog to digital, like if you go back and look at these analog recordings now, it's like watching TV through, kind of like through your screen door, you know? So what
Yeah.
we had to do is, like, when we did this transition, we had to bring in makeup artists to teach our anchors how to, like, to airbrush their faces so they looked good in HD, because that was a pretty scary time when you saw a person crystal clear. They didn't look as
Yeah.
pretty
Yeah.
as they did when they were kind of blurry.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's kind of like you've been stripped naked in front of the world, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So we had to spend thousands of dollars to teach them how to do makeup so that they would look decent with the HD signal.
I mean, I definitely can relate to that, coming from a family with a film background, obviously. I've even gotten to work on some shows that were in analog on actual film.
Ah,
And
yeah.
and the difference, like going into the new equipment and going HD and digital, like, you can actually see every pore on
Yeah.
the actor or actress, and like, the the illusion of beauty for some of them, went away. Like, it's very soft. You couldn't see the pores, the wrinkles would fade, and like all of a sudden, you know,
Yes.
there's a actresses and actors seem to have aged a few years just with the switching of the technology.
Isn't that amazing? And I do think there's something, I'm sure you know the science behind this, but film seems to have a softer quality about it. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I mean, just lower resolution at the end of the day, just the look of film, the way that, the light is picked up by, the actual film versus, it getting picked up by a sensor. It's just a little bit less precision, so you have that slight blur, right?
Yeah. And so here's another interesting thing, because I just think you got me on the Wayback Machine now. And it's funny because at that point we were switching from cameramen to automated cameras. And that sounds easy now, but basically you had to control the shots. Somebody's controlling the shots from the control room, but there's not a camera person. You're not talking in their ear, having to move the camera. It's all automated. That was another weird, like, kind of hard thing for a lot of people to grasp. And they're like, "You're taking our jobs," you know. I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't know. This is the way of the future. There's other jobs, you
I'd
know.
imagine it makes it a lot less social as well, right? Before you're probably in there's
Yes.
a bit of interaction, banter, you're a crew, and then all of a sudden it's just a bunch of robots in front of the anchorman.
I think it would be harder as an anchor, actually, that way, because you don't have anybody to talk to. Like, you got to talk to the
Yeah.
people out there, which it was like.
Hmm.
So I'm a musician playing church, and we during COVID we didn't have any people in. You normally have 800 people there. Now you have nobody there, and trying to translate some sort of intensity musically through a screen is sort of an interesting concept as well.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, look at the Beatles. I mean, that's kind of like where they got to shine, becoming one of those first artists to actually, jump on the like doing these, I guess, live performances on TV, right? It was
Yeah.
like when we had this switch over for politicians, Like this is one of the reasons why they say that Nixon lost versus Kennedy. It's because this is one of the first elections where they were actually, you know, they were playing it over the TV, and a lot of people like looking back, it's like Nixon was actually the better politician.
Oh, I didn't know
But
that.
you know,
That's
John Kennedy
interesting.
is a lot more suave and prettier looking, and this is something that's actually shifted our politics because before it was purely based off the merit of the person's speech and their political ideology, but now all of a sudden it becomes a beauty pageant as well, you know?
Right? Right? It's
Yeah,
and also video killed the radio star. So there's that.
exactly. And the radio politician.
That's awesome.
Man, yeah, no, crazy times. So, you went through this transition period. You helped the NBC news station transition into analog, and I mean, from there you went on more into the advertising space. You said in with
Yeah.
Comcast's Spotlight as well. I think you mentioned last time.
Yeah, so it was an interesting time because we were crushing it and we fixed this. We got this culture going good, and we got everybody rolling in the right direction and great things. But at that time, it was 2008 economic downturn, and so we were trying to go through that. We were making all our budgets, doing all the things, and um, what happened is we were owned by a newspaper company, and we were making $4 million a year. One of our newspapers, the Tampa Tribune in Florida, was losing $1 million a month. So yeah. So after my third round of mandatory layoffs, it wasn't like, hey, can you find a way to save X amount of dollars? It's like, I need you to cut X amount of heads. And
Yeah,
that was it. Like what if I can
I mean,
what if I can cut a high price salary and keep two lower? No, I need this many head count. And so, and by the way, you know why they started losing money in the Wayback Machine? Do you
okay.
remember? Classified advertising. So classified advertising was half of the revenue of the newspaper. And you know what happened to that? All of a
Yeah,
sudden,
the internet, Craigslist,
right?
you
You
know.
went from literally
Yeah.
from making piles and piles of money, 40% margin or whatever, down to losing, 10%. You lose 50% of your revenue. That's what happens. And it happened kind of really,
Mm,
really quickly as well. And then you had economic
mm,
downturn as well. Smash all that together. So after my third round of layoffs, mandatory layoffs. I'm sitting at we fired another 7 or 8 people, and I'm sitting at the restaurant downtown crying to my wife, just sobbing. I'm like, I can't do this anymore. I got to find something else. So I got recruited to go work for Comcast, and I ran their advertising sales for Sacramento and Fresno, California, and a bunch of their political advertising as well. That was really fun. I didn't have all my other levers to pull, but there again, the way the industry was moving so fast and transitioning, and we added advertising sales for Dish and DirecTV and AT&T and did all these deals, and um, it was not a dull moment there. And again, it was a culture. I was going into a broken. I guess I've always been a fixer. Now that I think about it, there's maintainers and there's fixers, and I've always been a fixer. And I think that's one of the things that I like about what I do now, business coaching. And it's not that I have all the answers, but it's like having some perspective from the outside and being able to come in and work with a business owner to fix it. Not that it's necessarily broken, but to fix it and grow it to the next level and break through to the next level is super, super addictive, and it's fun. It's problem solving, right? And if you can solve problems and give somebody a great outcome, and sharing that success, that's pretty awesome. So,
yeah, that's
anyways,
super.
that's how I ended up in California. Yeah.
Yeah. So I have a question for you because, like, your experience that where you had to lay off all these people during the economic crisis. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on like that right now. Like, I'm sure you heard about what was it, Oracle that just laid off like 30,000 people. I mean, as someone who's had to be the one doing the layoffs, like, I mean, what's your take on like the current state of things? And, you know, I mean, I'm sure this is not going to be the last set of layoffs that we see like this, you know?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. It's I okay. So everybody's got their opinion on this. I think we can probably agree that AI is a reason that people aren't as needed in a lot of these roles because AI can connect, or even just automation. It doesn't even have to be AI. You can build programs to help programs talk to each other. Therefore, there's more efficiency. Therefore, you don't need as many people. And I've seen it, and I've talked to enough people around town and enough people in the technology space, and they're like, hey, look, all the high end consulting type jobs, not all, a lot of those will be gone. A lot of the low end stuff is going to be
Yeah.
gone. And then
Yeah.
the middle probably stays, and there's a space. So I think it's real. Do you agree?
I mean, I agree. I mean, after all, like my business is one of these companies that
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
automating things,
Yeah.
and I have a number of friends that work for Gartner, which is like, I mean, you know, Gartner. I'm assuming it's one of the largest or the largest consulting firm in the world. You know, they kind of do a DIY version of consulting where they give you the resources. And I mean, over the last like year, their stock has dropped 70%, which it has been going up constantly for the last 25 years, and then it just dumped 70% in the last year because now you don't need to do DIY consulting with Gartner when you can go talk to Claude and they can give you the same advice for $20 a month, you know? I mean, maybe it's going to be like a little bit less specialized, but if you put some time into it to like build up and create a more robust system, I mean, I think it can probably do just as good of a job.
Yeah. It's, and so you could parallel this to sort of what happened with broadcasts, maybe in some ways, in that or a newspaper, whatever. There's a lot of other ways to get information. It used to be you had to sit down and watch the news at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock or 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock, whatever, right? Well, then the internet happened, and some freaking genius said, "Hey guys, you know what we should do? Let's pull all our stuff on the internet, and then we can monetize the internet." The problem is you're trading out, dollars for pennies. Um, and then that's toilet bowl for a TV station. All of a sudden, you had a 10, if you had a 10 news rating, which means 10% of the people are watching your newscast. And now you got a 2. Well, people aren't going to pay as much for that 2 as they were for the 10, right? And then they're not paying you as much for the internet advertising as they were for the television advertising, and all of a sudden your revenue stream is going down the toilet. So the same thing, it's like the market moved, and if you don't move with the market, you're dead, right?
Yeah, that's just what happens. Like, I don't know if I should even be saying this on air, but you know, I had a friend, one of my best friends, when I was like a little kid. You know, he never talked about what his dad did,
Hmm.
and you know, they were pretty well off. And I learned later that you know, he had a like a VHS a porn rental company. And you know, and he sold that right as the DVDs came out, you know, because he's like, oh shit, this is in trouble, you know, and I think he sold the business and then like it tanked a couple of years later. So I mean, that's the thing, is like you need to understand where the market is going and what the future is, and you know, if you don't adapt to a technology changing, like you know, going from VHS to DVD, or you know, going analog to digital, whatever it is, you know, AI coming in, and it's kind of how things go. The only thing is this is the like scarier one, I think, because this
Yeah.
is affecting a lot more people in terms of like doing their job. This is like, you know, the going from the horse to the automobile kind of thing. Like this level of change.
Yes, 100%. And I'll just share one other story because I think it's relevant because you mentioned the DVD thing. I remember I was golfing in Ireland and we had a bunch of clients over there. We took them on these trips, like our top clients. I've been all over Europe and it's been a blast. But golfing in Ireland, in the middle of the country there somewhere, I don't know. I think the course is called Doonbeg. I see these 2 big black choppers flying in. I'm like, dang, those people must have money. Yeah, they're the owners of Blockbuster.
Oh my God.
So you fast forward. Hey, now if you tell somebody you're the owner of Blockbuster, most people are going to be like, "What? What is that?"
Yeah.
And then
Yeah,
somebody like,
yeah.
"Oh, is that little video store that's in Bend, Oregon? Like that one? There's one now."
Yeah.
So it's the same thing, but like I read the book Netflix. I found it, and it was like what Netflix took a whole bunch of little titles. They didn't have a whole bunch of inventory, but they took what they had and they leveraged it, and they helped, like, oh, if you like this, you'll probably like this. It's the same thing that everybody does now, but that's how they could take the limited inventory they had. And Blockbuster could have done, they had way more to
Yeah.
leverage. They just didn't leverage it
Mhm.
because they thought they had the model.
Yeah.
But I don't know the answer
That's
to
the thing
your
is,
question. Like, is it Do people, because a lot of people are like, oh, it'll be fine. They'll just find other jobs and it's good and everything. And I don't know how the turn comes. I'm not so sure that it's that simple on this one because it's so massive and it's moving so quickly. I mean, this is your space, but to me, that's what I see.
I mean, just because it's my space, I don't have the answers for, how this is going to work out for the welfare of all people. My kind of hope, maybe it's a long shot. I'm like, as we increase our productivity, you know, this is going to enable us to have more time in terms of like, working towards a 6 hour workday and a 4 hour week. This is kind of like my hope
Yes.
for this technology, and that we can become so productive as a society that we can look at things like universal basic income, you know, and we can go into, people can spend more time doing the things that they like and trying to create a business based on their passions, or, we're going to see maybe like a flourishing art culture or something like this, that, I mean, I don't know. I can't predict the future. I don't have a crystal ball, but this is what I hope for, and this is the good that I could see possibly happening. But if we don't have universal basic income or something like this, which I mean, I understand like in a country like the U.S., it's pretty large. That's a big paycheck, but there's been test pilots in other countries, and it seems to work pretty well. So,
Yeah. I say y'all test that. And once you figure the model out, then let us know.
yeah,
I think, look, here's something though that is very real. There's no reason we can't accelerate curing cancer and figuring out how to dig wells more efficiently in Africa. Like
yeah.
there's a whole bunch of stuff we can do, and I do think that there's efficiency to be gained by deploying technology, and technology in this case can be automation or it can be AI or whatever. So there's a lot of good if you use the tool for good versus evil, and and one of the things I have with my clients is like one of the things I'm most proud of with my clients is getting them so they can. It's the thing that motivated me to start to get into this field. It's like getting them back so they can go to their kids' soccer games and they can have their weekends and they can go on vacation. And I've had clients. I'm like, look, I want you. I literally said this yesterday to one of my clients. I'm like, I need you to schedule a vacation by September where you go away for a period of time without your cell phone or turned off, right? Like at least 5 days, preferably a week,
Bury it.
you know, because you need it and it's better for you. It's better for your body. You come back more refreshed and you make better decisions and it's necessary. And why do all this work? I see so many businesses that are like, they're working 60 hours a week and they have a low pay. What they really have, they don't even have a business because it won't run without them. So it's not a business. It's just a low paying job. And that
Yeah, yeah.
sucks.
You're just making work for yourself at that point.
Yeah, you just want to go work for a corporation if you're going to do that. Like, let's figure out how to get you out of that day to day grind and be strategic. And how can we leverage this business, this idea, and grow this to scale so you can get out of the day to day and go do what you just bought this business or built this business to do, which is provide you a lifestyle. You didn't build it so that you could just grind away 60 hours a week and do the same thing over and over and over.
Unfortunately, though, I think that's what you have to do at the start, at least. But
Yeah,
the
yeah.
point is to, like you said, to get out of that, like you want to be putting in systems and people in place to take care of the management, so you can, free your time up for your family, the things you love to do, or to create another business or optimize the one, that you have.
And here's the thing,
Big
if you
strategy.
haven't sat and figured out where you want the business to be with a goal and how you're going to get there, a roadmap, I guarantee you're not going to get there because you're just driving around in the wilderness, right? So like
Yeah.
you got to have you got when I always put my GPS on if I'm going to go somewhere. I don't say I think I'll just drive over to whatever LA and just kind of wander. I guess I could get on I-10 because I know it goes to LA. But other than that, like you have a chart and a map and a plan, and that's one thing that's so powerful with clients is if you can actually figure out a plan and we agree on a plan, especially if you're a partnership and or a husband and wife. I've had a husband and wife, and I met with them, and the guy is like they emptied their 401k, they did all this stuff, they moved to a smaller house so they could build this business up. Okay, that's burning the ships, right? You're all in at that
Yeah.
point. So I'm interviewing them, and we're gonna, trying to make sure we're aligned on what the goals are. And I'm like, so what happens if this? What if this doesn't work? Like, and the guy's like, "Oh, it's not that big a deal. He's just real chill. He's an engineer. He's like, we'll figure out how to solve another problem, and we'll be fine." And the wife's like, "What? No, I'm sick of living in this crappy little house. I want to move back, and I want to be spend time with my grandkids, and blah blah blah. If this fails, we're screwed. Like this can't fail." And so
The
she had,
optimist and the realist.
yeah, and she had an urgency around her, and it's like, okay, so good for him to hear that, right? But also, it's like this is super important, folks. We have to do this right in over a limited period of time. They can't say, well, my goal is to, sell this for $2 million. When and how are you going to get there? What do you have to do this quarter to get to your goal for this year, to get to your goal for 3 to 5 to 10 years to get this done? Because if we haven't defined that, we know it's not going to happen. That makes sense?
Yeah, it makes complete sense. Like you said, you got to set out that roadmap. If you don't have like a clear path, and like, I mean, at the end of the day, you only have so much time in life, you
Mm-hmm.
know.
Yeah.
If you are running around in circles for 10 years chasing your own tail, and you're not, executing in a concise manner and like following that plan, then you're not going to make the same progress that you thought. And this is the thing with finance in general, like progress compounds.
Yes.
So if you're not being efficient at the start, like you're going to see the compounding effect of that much more in 20 years or 30 years, when you could have been investing 100K a year into the stock market, from your business's profits, and or just the business actually scaling itself.
Yes. Yeah. Because the business is just a thing. And that's the other thing that owners got to remember. It's like, this is not your identity, dude. This is just a thing that provides you wealth and freedom and finance and all the things, and hire and helps other people. And that's our thing. We're world abundance through business re-education. So the idea of how do we really fix the world? It's not corporations. They're not going to fix the world. It's local, small, medium-sized businesses hiring more people, growing, giving back to their community, um, creating generational wealth. Those are the things that really move the needle for the world, because we care about our communities, and that's
Well,
how
I
we
mean,
do it,
trickle down. Yeah,
right?
sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, like trickle down economics isn't going to work when all the money is in the hands of like five assholes, Like if there's just five billionaires, like okay, great. If you have people, small businesses that are successful in every community and they're stimulating their local economy, and like
Yes,
you're saying, and giving back and just buying from local shops, and
yes,
you have your own ecosystem there.
percent. And those are the
I think it's like,
even like safety, like things like the communities where local businesses, it's like neighborhood watch. The reason neighborhood watch works is because we're watching around our neighborhood, and we don't want any jerks coming in there stealing our crap, right? So we got eyes on it because we care about it, because we're invested on it, because we're owners, we're not renters. We own this place, and we want it to grow. And so I own my community. I want it to grow. I care about the people that live here, and I want the best for
yeah,
them. And if we do that from the
hmm
bottom up, that's how you can really crush it for the
yeah.
world.
Yeah, unfortunately though, for most people, like, we kind of get stuck perpetuating this cycle because, I mean, just look at, most people not being able to afford their groceries from anywhere but like Walmart. So we're just putting our hands out and giving the the cash to this billionaire family instead of back to our communities because, like, unfortunately, most people aren't even able to afford to buy from like a local store or a local grocer.
Well, and how do we,
Um,
how do you make sure that those folks can stay competitive? And I do think there's a level of, if there's a level of service, none of my clients are the cheapest.
yeah,
Like none of them are. I don't care if it's the painter or the tech guy or the school or the CPAs. Like none of them are the cheapest, but the level of service they provide makes their value worthwhile. And getting the fresh vegetables from the local produce person, the nutritional value of those vegetables is going to be way higher than a truckload of stuff that comes halfway across the country, right? It's just going to
yeah,
be
of
way better
course.
for you. So I know. So figuring out that ecosystem and making sure that local businesses can stay competitive, I think, is super important in
Yeah.
in the world. The problem is the Walmart comes and they set up shop, and they drive down prices, right? And the people are like, I love local business, but then they all go even, and some of them can't afford to shop other places, but they go to the freaking
Yeah.
Walmart, with
Yeah.
all the people walking around in their pajamas and they buy stuff there. It's like, well, then you're a hypocrite.
Yeah. But luckily we have you. We have you to help people grow their businesses and to, to help get us out of that loop. Maybe you can walk us through that actually when someone wants to grow their business and how do they find you? How do you start your onboarding process with them? Like, do you have sometimes look at a client and say, hey, like, this isn't actually for you. You don't need me, or
Yes.
yeah, maybe you should look at going and just going back to your job.
I have had it a few times. So I think what I would say is this: look, people, people, smart people realize that they need a coach. Like I have a coach, and Tiger Woods. Maybe not. Let's not use Tiger Woods right now. He's been in
Yeah.
a couple wrecks lately, but
Yeah, didn't he just get in trouble again recently?
yeah, he drunk driving again and rolled another car. So, but Michael Jordan or Tiger Woods or any star you pick, any football star, any soccer star, whatever, they all have coaches, and they don't just have one; they have multiples. So, what makes us so the people that are so prideful, they're like, I don't need anybody, I know all the answers, are never going to be my clients because they don't have all the answers, and neither do I. And one of the things that coaching provides, a lot of it is perspective and accountability. So we have this thing that are called BFOs, blinding flashes of the obvious. A lot of times the business owner knows the answer, but they forgot it or they haven't executed it. So what we do is we look for people that are, first of all, are coachable and want to learn. Secondly, that are going to actually implement the changes that we agree to into their business. Otherwise, there's no value in it. We can talk all day about it, but if there's no action coach, that's pretty good, I guess. If there's no action,
Yeah.
nothing happens. And then number 3, can we unlock enough value in their business to, 3x our coaching fees, ideally in the first year, and then go from there. So those are the things we're looking for. And what we do is we come in, we look under the hood, we have them answer some questions and we figure out where their head's at. And then we look under the hood and diagnose kind of what's going on with their business, how we can tweak the engine out to get it to run faster and more efficient. And then we put it on a piece of paper, old school, and a priority list, let's call it, of the things we're going to do first, and then the things we're going to do long term. And then we hand them the piece of paper and say, hey, look, you can just do this on your own, or we can do it together. And I've had people, I got a couple of guys that I work with in Virginia. They used to work for me actually, but they're like, we can just do this on our own. One of the guys said, the other one's like, yeah, right. So I'm like, okay, that's cool. So in 8 weeks, let's have a follow-up appointment. So, in our follow-up appointment, you know what had happened?
What?
Nothing. So they had the whole list of things, but they hadn't done any of them.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
What
congratulations.
happened? They just got caught chasing their own tail again?
Yeah,
or?
you get spun up in the business, working in the business every day. And so then I'm like, congratulations, I'm your coach now. And then we move forward. But some of it's just that accountability mechanism of saying, okay, we agreed you're going to do these things. And plus we want to get our money's worth out of this thing. So when we meet 2 weeks from now, we're going to have done these things. And so it's really that easy. So I have had clients that I've said, so like if I had a guy and he had we met and it was like a Saturday morning. We spent like a couple hours at his place, and it was like a cookie dough franchise, one of those cookie franchises. Okay. Small store. And he's a smart dude. He was working another job as well. And smart guy, and he'd implemented a bunch of changes, which were really smart and strategic. And I'm like, here's some other stuff we could do, but you don't really need me. Like you did all these things. If you actually follow through on these things, you're going to be way down the road and you're going to be in a way better spot. So call me if you need me. So I have had that before. Or if we don't like each other, we're not going to work together either. If you don't like me and I'm not everybody's cup of tea, then we're not going to work together. That's the deal. But yeah, it's pretty low key. You can't hard sell people on business coaching. It's got to be right. They got to be able to see the value. I have to know in my gut there's a return on investment for them, because I don't want to just take somebody's money. That's no fun. I want to crush it together and celebrate the wins together. Like that's the super addictive part of coaching, is that you can actually celebrate wins together, and you can see like these guys I was telling you about. One of the things I'm most proud of, well, first of all, we found my fee right away. So we changed the pricing around. So we got the fee part done. So they're making money already on just engaging. But now, they're used to, like, when we'd have our hour call, they'd have phone calls all the time interrupting them. And now they don't have any phone calls. We can go a full hour without them being interrupted at all because we put personnel in place, we put procedures in place, accountability, systems and processes, and now they can actually focus on the business strategically versus being in it, driving trucks around or taking calls or dealing with customers.
Yeah, constantly putting out the next fire, right?
Yes, because we all do it. Like there's a thing. We have this time target thing, but like we a lot of times we work on the non-urgent, non-important stuff because we like it or whatever, but it doesn't do anything for our business. We work on the urgent, non-important stuff, the fighting fires like you're talking about, because we think we have to. Um, and we think we have to take this call or, oh, my phone just, oh, sorry, I got to stop this podcast because somebody just texted me. No, you don't have to do that. It's going to be fine. Right. And then there's the urgent, important stuff, which we always work on, and that's focused zone stuff. And then there's the not urgent, but very important stuff. That's the planning. That's the execution. That's like, okay, it's thinking strategically as an entrepreneur, an investor versus thinking, or an owner versus thinking like a manager, you know? But we never get to that inside circle of the not urgent but very important because we're spending all the time doing the things, the cycle, like you said, the circle, the loop over and over and over again. So that's what we really try to work on.
Yeah. No, I feel that resonating with me so much because you're going through and you're talking about this. I'm like, oh, I do that myself actually. Like, it's like
Yes.
it's like, oh fuck, like right. I need to be focusing on following up with the people that are like the warm leads that are starting to cool off, and not like pouring hours and hours into like the new project that I'm super excited about.
Yes,
It's like
it's true.
like
And so I do the same thing. I do my quarterly planning as well. And I'm a little bit of a liar here because it's April 9th and I haven't updated my first, second quarter. I need to do that. But like on my first quarter plan, I think I gained about 20% more productivity and it was on really important stuff. And that's huge. What if I did that? If I do that 4 times a year, that's like you talked about compounding, which is brilliant. All that work compounds on itself. And now that fit 20 times 20 times 20, all of a sudden you're running at 2x in no time of productivity for your amount of time that you've invested. And that's brilliant, right?
yeah. I think I mean, maybe Elon Musk gets a lot of flack lately, but he said something which kind of stuck with me, which is about like how to deal with engineers, and he's like, just don't worry about optimizing anything. Just remove the processes that aren't working. You know what I mean? Like, stop trying to optimize something that doesn't need to be there in the first place. Like, just trim the fat and like understand what the core is and what you actually need to be working on before you start optimizing the processes. And I think that's something that like I mean, you can kind of take and apply to any business. Like,
Yes.
is this really important? Does this need to be here, or is this just like
Yeah.
extra something taking up extra space?
Yeah. And we create bottlenecks because, what got you to a million, your systems and processes and decision making specifically, which means owner is going to eventually constrict the business at some point because you have to give away decision making, which means to give away decision making, you have to have developed people that have critical decision making skills. Well, how do we get them to think critically? We have to have them come to us with solutions versus problems, right? No, don't ever come to me with a problem if you don't have a solution for it. And then we're going to talk about, and then up to a certain level, you're going to be able to make decisions on your own without ever having to talk to the owner. And that's how you build your leaders. And then you got managers. And then the next step at 10 million or 20 million or whatever, now I have to develop managers and maybe even leaders of some of these different, back to the news station departments. You got your engineering department and your finance department and your news department and your sales department and probably something else, admin or something, right? So, HR. Don't forget about HR now.
Oh yeah,
Very important. Um, but then you have to have those managers work as a group collectively and learn to be leaders. And then you grow from there. So that's sort of the talent focused hiring and how you make sure as you scale that you're not choking the organization because it happens a lot.
and this is something that you also apply to your own business, no? Because like you do have a team of coaches underneath you, so it's like you don't just talk the talk; you also walk the walk.
You have to, or you can't scale, right?
Yeah, yeah.
That's just part of the deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun. You got it. That's what sucks about coaching. You actually have to take your own advice. Do as I say, not
It'd
as
be
I
kind of
do.
funny if you didn't.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's someone out there that's doing it. I'm sure that there's someone out there that doesn't follow their own advice. I mean, this actually is, I mentioned Gartner earlier, but this is one of the things that I heard from one of my friends that was working there, which was, they give all this consulting advice on how to run a business, and he was like, but they don't implement it in their own business. He's like, I don't understand what's going on. So there are some companies that are doing it, and even really big ones.
Yes. Yeah, it's so true. I mean, there's plenty of plumbers around with broken toilets that haven't been fixed in their house for 20 years, and there's plenty of contractors that, the door hangs off the two hinges and it's crooked, and it happens all the time. Yes,
Yeah.
all the time.
I do this for work, so I don't want to do it at home.
Yeah, so that sort of holding yourself accountable or having somebody hold you accountable to do those things is really important as well, because we got to have that level as well. And I guess that's the other thing I think about coaching and business coaching is it's really nice to have business ownership is super lonely. So it's nice to have a community of people that you can collaborate with and kind of commiserate with, and those sort of like in our quarterly planning, it's very fun because a lot of the discussion is really people talking about, oh yeah, what's your biggest challenge you had this quarter and how'd you solve it? And then everybody was shaking their heads like, oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah, that's good advice. Or yeah, I need to do that and implement that in my business. And I
Hmm.
mean, I did the thing with AI, and we have every one of my people is using AI for something, right? Because if you're not, you're losing competitive speed. And why not? Even if you take the time and you go spend it with your kids instead of jacking around with something that you could automate, or
Exactly.
right?
Yeah. Why do I want to spend like 10 hours a week writing emails when I can, put all the information into the AI's memory, and then it can actually generate the emails for me?
Yes,
It's like, okay, great. I could just cut that from 10 hours into 30 minutes.
it's amazing.
And you can go and spend that time doing something more productive for your business,
Yes,
or spending it with your kids or something,
right.
something that means more. What does that look like for you then? I mean, you said you're implementing, AI and through your team and through your business. Like, what is your kind of tech stack, and what does that implementation process look like for you?
Yeah, I think there's work there. I mean, my CRM is, I don't know if I'm going to keep it or not, but I'm using Go High Level, and it's got quite a bit of automations in it. I think it's a very counterintuitive thing personally. So I don't know, but it's on my calendar for last quarter. Whatever we can automate or implement AI in, we should. I'm doing some outreach with, AI as sort of a tool in that. And yeah, it's pretty simple stuff. It's very 101, honestly. I don't have any complex AI automations I've implemented thus far, and there's probably room for me to grow. I just, I've got to sit down and probably figure out what those next steps are.
I would talk to a number of people that, are looking at how to implement into their business. And one of the interesting ones that I saw come up quite a few times was, people wanting to create kind of like a chat bot. So, when they're not around, if someone has a rogue thought in the middle of the night, they can type it in there, and they can kind of get an answer that you would give, based on, your course material and your teachings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
I think Yeah, I think at the end of the day, though, what everyone really wants to see from it, though, is their revenue go up.
Yes.
Like, realistically, we just want to see our bottom line get better.
Yes, I think that's right. But if there's time and efficiency savings, or there's a better customer interaction. Because yeah, I know some folks that are using AI for automation for phone answering if they can't get to the phone or whatever. Even for smaller businesses, I think there's some real game there, because customers expect to have responses in a fairly short order, and
Yeah.
you can't always do that, right?
the AI receptionist, because right, I mean, right now people don't have any patience.
Yes.
It's at a record low. We're so used to instant gratification constantly.
Yes.
So I mean, if you already have a client, I'm guessing that you're when people are coming to you, they have probably have some certainty that they want to work with you already. Like if someone's calling you up, there's not so much convincing at that point. So they're gonna call back. But for like a lot of businesses, if it's like I don't know, a hairdresser or something, if you don't pick up that phone, like they're on to the next.
Yeah. Yeah. When can you get me in? Right. And what does it cost? And what makes you different? Yeah. I think there's going to be a lot of opportunity. The thing is it's moving so fast that, um, I don't know what it's going to look like in 12 months. Like it's going to be a completely different animal. Right.
Yeah. No, I mean, look at what's happened in the last couple months. Like I'm completely dumbfounded by
Yes.
the tool stack that I'm working with now compared to 6 months ago. It's just a completely different game. And like every single day, there's a new update for Claude with Anthropic with new abilities, new features, new commands, and it's like you really need to be paying attention every single day. If you go away for a week, like
Wow.
all of a sudden, like it's just a new world. I don't know. It's crazy. The amount of like open source material that people are creating as well.
Really?
Like the skills you can teach it. Yeah. No, it's crazy.
So the idea,
Yeah.
and you do this all the time, but the idea of using AI to build tools is like really that's what you're doing, right? You're using AI to
Yeah.
build the tools, whether that be an app or an interface or some solution to a problem that you couldn't even do
Yeah.
that. You couldn't even do that a year ago.
Yeah. No, it's crazy. Like I'm going to attend actually a master class at the end of the month to also refine those skills a bit more and help me be able to push towards actually making, instead of just making automations, which I mean they're functional, but they're not scalable. If you're like running everything through N8N, you can work with as many clients as like I could take on. I can work with it on N8N, but to actually create like a SaaS or something, you need to actually make your own application, your own software. So like I'm looking forward to that to actually be able to also scale up these processes to something that you can just provide to everyone instead of just the group of clients that you have around you.
I love it.
So
Yeah, that's great.
let's see. Pretty excited for it,
That's good stuff.
and yeah, yeah. And so with your business though, like, um, I mean, we've kind of gone through like the process, uh, your coaching style. What about do you have any words maybe you could leave us with your philosophy on business, um, or anything just life related to start us off with?
Don't piss into the wind because you get splattered. Oh no. Okay, that's bad. Okay, let me think of something
Yeah.
better. I
Hey, I took 3 takes to start, so it's okay.
no, you can leave that in. I'd say the best thing, first of all, I tell people is if you're going to start a business, it's going to take twice as long. It's going to be twice as hard. It's going to be take twice as much money. And what you're starting with, in a lot of cases, especially if it's a concept and it's new, is probably not what you're going to be ending up with. So you got to iterate based on customer feedback and get it to market fast and iterate to get to the right product that is going to be the right product for the consumer. So that's one for a startup. Secondly, if you're going to start a business, don't start a business. Just buy a business. So because it's way easier to buy a customer database. The biggest hardest part is building a customer database. And that's what I had to do when I started my business. I bought a franchise so the systems and processes were in place. And I feel like me running large teams of over 100 since I was 39 and running a $100 million organization and having lots of sales acumen and all that stuff, combined with Action Coach, largest coaching firm in the world, been around 32 years, like that was a deadly combination. But I still had to build a customer base, and that is freaking hard. So if you got
You got it.
and I use that as an example, but if you got a business and it's a business that's already been creative, go buy something, buy it right, and then you've got a customer base that you can work off. It gets the flywheel moving quicker, and I think more efficiently. So those would be my two things.
Yeah, yeah, because then you're kind of vetted, right? You already have that reputation, like of the larger business model.
Yes, and you got more leverage, and hopefully you even have some people in there. And then the other thing is, of course, you just got to hire the right people. Don't just hire bodies. People, that's a critical mistake everybody makes. And it's like, oh, I really need to hire somebody. So they hire a person that's not qualified and they try to think that they're going to make them better. And the best day that they
Yeah,
ever are is that day that they're at the job interview. So if you see things, and I have plenty of stories to tell about that, but if you see things or you sense things and you don't even know what it is about that person, just don't hire them, period. Wait for the right person, recruit, 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 always recruit, and then you'll be in a way better spot.
yeah, that's actually really good wisdom right there. That's so true. Like you're never gonna see them at better day than in the interview.
Right?
Well,
Yeah, that's the best they
thank you
ever
so
get.
much for well, thank you so much for that, and thank you so much for joining me on the podcast. It was lovely chatting with you, and I hope we can do it again in the future sometime.
For sure, Montgomery. Good luck saving the world.
I'll try not to burn it down.
Deal. All
All
right.
right.
Cheers.